Hello, good evening, and welcome to We Need to Talk with Tony Lindsay. I am your host, Tony Lindsay, and I thank you for joining me tonight, this Sunday evening, January 26th. How is everyone doing this evening? We're here to talk straight today. We're going to have a conversation that is straight and no chaser. So, as you see here, the title of this episode is Trump Derangement Syndrome. Facts, no feelings. So we're going to deliver it straight with no chaser. We're going to just have a real conversation here because I just think from everything that I've been seeing, everything has just been kind of getting out of hand, right? You know, this is Donald Trump's first week in office, and I would argue that he has achieved a lot of accomplishments. But throughout every milestone that he hits, according to his stated agenda, you will find a great deal of people who are outraged by it, or there's always an air of controversy that is surrounding every single thing that he has done thus far. And so my question is, are we being manipulated? Well, it's not really my question because I know for the most part we have been extremely manipulated as a citizenry. So I want to focus on some of that now. I want you guys to just kind of just cover some of the things that we've been seeing, and also correct a lot of false information that has been thrown out into the zeitgeist. So we're going to start just by talking about, man, there's so many things that has happened so far. I mean, let's start with Colombia. Now, you guys know that this week alone, it's only been how many days? 6 days that Donald Trump has been in office, technically. And he has deported already, I believe, 1,400 illegal immigrants who have committed crimes in the country. I think he's already sent a lot of those people back. But here's the thing. There were illegal immigrants who were arrested for committing crimes like sexual assault and other things, who were deported back to Colombia. But here's the problem. There were 2 flights that he had going back to Colombia, and the Colombian president, what's his name? President, what's his name again? Does anyone know the guy's name? Petro. Yeah, Petro. He was like, no. The government said, no, we don't want them. Imagine that. They sent them here, but now they're saying, no, we don't want them back. And the reason that they offered was until you treat them with dignity. So I'm wondering, like, what dignity are you demanding that the Trump administration or the United States government treat these convicted criminals? What dignity do you demand that we treat them with in order for you to take them back to your country, their country of origin? This is why I keep telling y'all, bro, like all of this push to let the whole world in the door of the United States with no borders and no vetting, no nothing. This is what it shows you. These countries, they feel entitled. They can just dump out. Remember when Donald Trump kept saying on the campaign trail, they're emptying their prisons and their insane asylums, and their crime rates are down by 70%. Now you see why they don't want to take them back. But they're saying it under the guise of virtue. Oh, you're going to treat them with respect. So I just wanted to show you guys just a little bit of of course, of one of the worst places, but a CNN segment. I just wanted you to see what we're dealing with here.
Donald Trump says he has issued his first tariff on Colombia after 2 U.S. deportation flights of undocumented migrants were not allowed to land in Colombia. CNN's Steve Contorno is joining us now live from Florida. Steve, tell us more.
Yeah, Fred, just moments ago, Donald Trump reacting to the news that Colombia had blocked planes carrying undocumented migrants from delivering those individuals back to their home country, and Trump now retaliating with tariffs and threats of more tariffs. He said in a post on social media, quote, "I was just informed that the 2 repatriation flights from the United States with a large number of illegal criminals were not allowed to land in Colombia. This order was given by Colombia's socialist president, Gustavo Petro, who is already very unpopular amongst his people. Petro's denial of these flights has jeopardized the national security."
All right. So there you see your confirmation. So Petro said, nope, we're not taking them back. You better treat them nicely. So Donald Trump was like, oh, really? Oh, you're not going to let our planes land so we can drop off your people to you? Bet. Guess what? I'm going to put a 25% tariff on all of the goods coming into the United States from Colombia. And if you still don't fall in line after a week, I'm going to double it. He also said that he was going to put like a travel ban, and he was going to like revoke the visas of certain diplomats and people who are supporting that. It was very, very stern. And, you know, everyone was outraged, but let's just continue.
And public safety of the United States. So he has then goes on to say that he is taking some action against the Colombian government, including a 25% tariff on goods coming from Colombia immediately, and he's threatening to raise that to up to 50% next week. He also is calling for a travel ban and immediate visa revocations on the Colombian government officials, and sanctions on party members and family members that support the Colombian government. So, Fred, this is an early example of how Donald Trump's immigration crackdown is already colliding with his foreign policy and trade proposals, and the first of maybe more to come, Fred.
And then, Steve, how immediate are we talking?
One night, after staying back late at his clinic doing admin.
So how immediate are they talking? Yeah, sorry, I guess I'm on the wrong account. So he's talking about doing it immediately. So that's to show you guys exactly where Donald Trump stands on this. So, like, do you all think that it's a good thing that Colombia was like, no, F you, we're not going to take them back. You keep our criminals. You find a place to put them, leave them in your country, even though we know that these people, many of them were already convicted of crimes, including sexual assault. But nah, it's good. You keep them. So after Donald Trump issued that threat, hours later, here is the response from the Colombian government. The Colombian government, under the leadership of President Gustavo Petro, has arranged for the presidential plane to facilitate the dignified return of the compatriots who were to arrive in the country this morning. Wow. So that's all it took, huh? And you know, and this is the problem I see whenever it comes to the conversation on tariffs and Donald Trump's plans. You know, tariffs are a negotiating strategy that have been used by this government forever. And, you know, the fact that the media is always attacking Donald Trump for using certain strategies like that, and I think he's very serious about it too, it's crazy because I think it makes us look crazy on the world stage. And I don't think most people realize that most of our allies, they have tariffs on us. They have tariffs on the United States. We don't have any on them. So a lot of these things that Donald Trump is doing, he's doing this as a businessman, right? He's doing this to negotiate. This is like literally the art of the deal. So I find it like really crazy that we always panic whenever the person that we elected to lead the country actually leads, and he's leading with strength. So you don't have to like him, right? But you got to at least give him an opportunity to do what he's doing, or you know what I'm saying? At least let's see where this is going. But you can't just say, okay, cool, everyone decided we're going to elect this man, but you know what? Nah, forget it. Don't fall for the media rage baiting, because that's what's really happening right now. Everyone is just falling for the rage bait. Everyone is being terrified by the media. And I wanted to show you guys a clip that I saw on was it CNN? I think it was CNN where they were talking about Donald Trump's ratings, which I found it really interesting. I want to show it to you guys because it was quite interesting. All right, CNN Trump ratings. Here we go. Is this it? I want to show the one where the lady, she was like, no, I can't believe this. Because this guy was going over Donald Trump's ratings. And then I guess whoever oh, is this it? Yeah, I'm sorry. I should have queued this stuff up, but it's just so much. So much happening at once. It's hard to keep up. All right, let me find it right here. All right, so I'll just play it here because I saw it on. Is this it? One more second. Damn, I really didn't want to use this one. History. Yeah, I'm gonna have to just use that one. All right. Let's. Oh, it was, you know what? It was CNN. And it was an hour ago. Yeah, sorry guys, just wait 1 second. All right, one last place I'm gonna look. All right, let me see if it's here. It will be. If I don't find it here, then I'll just move on. But I really did want you guys to see it. There it is. Here it is. Found it. All right. Here you go. Let me go back. And right there. Yeah, I want you guys to hear it.
He's leading a very different administration in the way he's attacking things, and the American public is very much more in line with him than they were at any point during his entire first term.
Well, I would say, correction, this is not a very different Donald Trump. This is a very different Donald Trump as being viewed.
You hear her stuttering? Wait, I don't believe this. This isn't a different Donald Trump. This
by voters in this.
In the way he's going about things with Susan Wiles leading things, I think he is, going at things in a much less disorganized fashion, much more organized.
Take me back in history.
Take you back in history. So it was so interesting to me that Donald Trump's first net approval rating of his second term is higher than his entire first term. And I was interested, has that ever happened? Has the second term net approval rating in the first month, have you ever had a higher rating than any net approval rating during the entire first term? Donald Trump is the only.
I have a really hard time believing this.
This is.
You hear this? That's TDS. That's the TDS that I was talking about. Like, look at her reaction. No, I have a hard time believing this. Live on the air, as the man is reporting this, she just refuses to believe it.
100% true. I went back. I love spreadsheets. Donald Trump's is the first guy ever whose net approval rating in the first month of his second term is higher than any rating that he had.
Look at her face. She's like, she refuses to believe this shit. No, that's CNN reporting that.
And is an entire first term, Kate Baldwin. This is true. I don't make stuff up. The numbers are the numbers.
I believe you in nothing except when you have it in the wall. And then I believe everything you say.
That's exactly right.
Which is why.
This is a.
So this is the level of Trump derangement syndrome that you're even seeing in the media. You get what I'm saying? This is the media. These are the people who are supposed to be giving you the truth. They're the ones who are supposed to be informing you, but they just cannot believe this. There's no way in hell that Donald Trump's approval rating can be higher in his first month back in office than ever before and at any time during his previous administration. And this has never happened before in history. But no, we don't want to believe that. So let me show you. I want to show you Donald Trump. He went to North Carolina. Now we know what was happening with North Carolina, right? We know how basically those people have been stuck for months after the hurricane, and for a long time they were really struggling to get some form of aid. You got all types of excuses. Oh, FEMA, they don't have this, or we're under resourced. You know what? Maybe we'll give you what did they say? We'll give you like a $750 loan, basically. So Donald Trump, he went down there, and here's the interesting thing, right? We were told that there was really like nothing they could do, and they were working as hard as they could, and there was no shortage with money. Well, apparently Donald Trump found an extra $2 billion. He found $2 billion that was being used on the illegal immigration, and he took that money and he rerouted it over to be used for recovery efforts for the people of North Carolina. So just want you to see it.
Pleased to announce that under our leadership, the federal government will be surging housing solutions to the state that go beyond mere temporary hotel stays that ended up being very short term. The government wouldn't do it any longer, which is ridiculous. We'll marshal.
So a lot of people were in like temporary housing, like temporary hotels, and it didn't last very long at all. They got stuck. There are people out there in tents. Like Donald Trump, they said he's literally taking people out of these tents that they're staying in and putting them in long-term housing. And he did this immediately, bro. And look how long Joe Biden's administration was just leaving these people stuck in this situation. So how are we looking at this and we're complaining, oh, Donald Trump is such a terror, he's a fascist? I mean, these are the results. Aren't these the things that we were demanding of Joe Biden when he was in office? So let's take our partisanship out of this and just look at this critically. Is what Donald Trump is doing here a bad thing?
All available resources to bring back potable water and make your water and infrastructure dramatically more reliable very quickly. Today, I'll also be signing an executive order slashing all red tape and bureaucratic barriers and permits to ensure the rapid reconstruction of the roads here in Western North Carolina. We're going to go through a permitting process that's called no permitting, just get it done. That's the way they built them many years ago. I guarantee you that, right?
So he says, just get it done. Here's what's funny. I usually face like trolls whenever you speak about the facts, whenever you try to get people to think critically, objectively. You always encounter these weird trolls on social media who always have some funny shit to say. This is actually the first time that I've gotten something like this on YouTube. Somebody, let me show you the comment. It says this channel is BS and is a socialism. Commies is a socialism. Commies, don't really know what that means, but there's nothing communistic about anything that was just said here. That this is so crazy because we know when it comes to socialism, socialist policies, you're seeing that on the political left. That's something that you see from the Democrat Party. I mean, I think that kind of shows the lack of intelligence that we see that is rampant on social media, where everyone thinks that they're qualified to opine on certain political issues, and they just really have no idea what they're talking about. And that's why I think it's so critical that we actually pay attention to people who are trying to inform us, to give us the actual information so we can just develop some critical thinking skills and just come to our own conclusions that make sense. So right after his stop in North Carolina, Donald Trump went straight over to California. And I know a lot of you guys saw the press conference there, and a lot of people out there lost their homes. They're stuck, and there were many of the residents there in Palisades. They were there and they were complaining like, yo, we can't get access to our houses. A lot of the shit is burnt down. They got the shit blocked off and we can't even get in there. And they're saying that we need permits to get into the space where our homes are. And they're telling us that's going to take 18 months. And so here is Donald Trump and his exchange with Mayor Bass on that issue.
You have emergency powers just like I do, and I'm exercising my emergency powers. You have to exercise them also.
I did exercise them.
Because I looked,
signed
I mean,
an
you have a
emergency
very powerful
declaration.
emergency power, and you
Yes.
can do everything within 24 hours.
Yes. And if
She just said yes. Donald Trump just told her you could do everything within 24 hours. This is right after she told everyone 18 months.
individuals want to clear out their property, they can.
Look, you hear all that?
Well, yeah.
Those are the residents in an uproar when she said that. Those are the actual residents. Those are Californians who are outraged just by her saying that. Isn't it interesting that Donald Trump is in California right now? He's sitting, well, he's not there now, but to see that Donald Trump was there in front of Californians and they're rebuking the mayor and they're praising Donald Trump. But just listen.
Yes, but you know that you will be able to go back soon.
Mr. President.
We think within a week.
That's a long time, a week. I'll be honest. To me, everyone's standing in front of their house. They want to go to work and they're not allowed to do it.
And the most important
week
thing
is
is
a
for
long
people to
time.
be safe.
They're safe. They're safe. You know what? They're not safe. They're not safe now. They're going to be much safer. A week is actually a long time, the way I look at it. I watched hundreds of people standing in front of their lots, and they're not allowed to go in. It's all burned. It's gone. It's done. Nothing's going to happen to it. It's not going to burn anymore. There's nothing to burn. There's almost nothing to burn. And they want to go in. The people are all over the place. They're standing, and I say, why aren't you going in? We're trying to get a permit, and the permit's going to take them. Everybody said 18 months. You said 18 months. You said 18 months.
That was last night.
And that was last night.
Listen,
On that.
they pissed off.
We can't even see our homes right now. We are blocked from entering our streets.
Right.
We can't even, this is our first time we saw our house, was yesterday.
Mr. President, we're going to be together next week, and during the interim, many of us are involved in, and Tom McClintock, who you know has been an excellent.
You all heard that, right? You all heard what the residents are saying, contradicting what the mayor is saying. And my question is this: permit for what? What the hell do I need a permit for? My house is burned down. There's nothing but ashes laying there. And you're telling me I can't even go over there, pick up my belongings or get a dumpster, start cleaning it out? What protection do I need? And this is the bureaucracy. This is how they steal money. This is how they get their friends, probably the friend of the mayor, her home girl or a homeboy who has a construction company, or they get, they'll get their people to come in there and do the work for you, charge you like $50,000 or $30,000 for removal. It's all a money scam, bro. What did Donald Trump say? Donald Trump said, what are you talking about? You have emergency powers, just like I have emergency powers. Why don't you use it? You can get cut through the red tape and the bureaucracy. Bro, he's literally exposing these people right in front of your face, but you still want to be mad. Let's continue.
Expert on this for years.
That's right.
We are going to be putting conditions on the money that do two things: require that it be done timely and affordable, and then secondly.
So why weren't you all doing that before Donald Trump got there? Real talk. Why weren't there conditions put on how the money should be spent before Donald Trump showed up? Donald Trump has been saying for the longest, just like so many of the American people, that this government is nothing but a huge money laundering scam. So now they want to be like, oh, yeah, don't worry. We're going to make sure that all of that money is accountable. Trust me, that is the condition we're placing on it. Shouldn't that have been the condition from the very beginning? Shouldn't that be the condition for all monies spent by our federal government, state, local? Shouldn't that be the requirement? Why is it that the Pentagon has failed like the last 8 audits and they don't know where the money is? Why is it that money is just disappearing all the time in our government and we sit back and we're here defending the people who are literally stealing the money? And Donald Trump, the man who is at least standing there holding them accountable, y'all are like, oh no, this guy is crazy. He's horrible. It makes no sense. And that's why I argue that Trump derangement syndrome is something that is very real. But let's continue.
That we protect those who will come afterwards. As we speak, there are 6,000 acres burning in my district on the Mexican border. There will be more fires until we include in any disaster relief items which will prevent it or at least mitigate it from happening again. So you're going to see us proposing both of those.
Like water.
Damn. We're going to put things in place to mitigate it, to make sure it doesn't happen again, Mr. President. Yeah, like water, which is one of the conditions that he placed on additional funding to them. Make sure that these people have access to water. And this after he warned them about the danger from not doing the cleanup, the forestry cleanup that would lead to more wildfires. Bro, you can't make this shit up.
Things like water, you know, the party of common sense. See, we're the party of common sense. You're not, in all fairness.
Yes, sir.
We like water to put out fires. It's really quite efficient. All right.
I'm sorry, bro. I think y'all just don't like it that Donald Trump is so direct. And you know what? Listen, I get it. But Donald Trump is a New Yorker. I'm a New Yorker. You know what I'm saying? When you're from New York, you're just going to say what you say what you feel. I'd rather somebody tell me what they feel to my face instead of smile in my face and then plot and scheme behind my back, you know, pissing on me and then telling me that it's raining. That shit doesn't work. I think a lot of people just don't like the fact that Donald Trump is so blunt and honest. And that's the crazy thing. He's painted as a liar while he's being blunt and honest. That shows me how crazy our media is, that they get away with this stuff, bro. I can't believe that they so easily get away with this stuff. Okay, so let's move on. Now, people are outraged about the whole DEI controversy with Donald Trump. Now, I've done several videos to talk about this when it comes to the DEI executive orders. Everyone is pissed off about these executive orders that Donald Trump is writing. You got a lot of people out there who just lack actual information. They don't know what they're talking about. They just know that they should be angry. And I find that to be one of the most blatant violations of journalistic integrity. And I also would say that it's like there's so many people on social media who are invested in rage baiting in order to get people to react, because you know what it does? It generates clicks and views. And then you have those of us who like to look deeper into things, dig into the facts, get the real information. And, you know, we try to put the information out there, but unfortunately, people like us are usually the most censored on these social media platforms, which to me is an indicator of the collusion between, you know, the media, the government, and social media. And that's why I really support Donald Trump when it comes to, you know, tearing down the whole censorship industrial complex, with so many people in the, you know, intelligence agencies, these bureaucrats, all these people who are setting these new terms on how we're supposed to operate and function in the United States. Now, one of those policies, one of those requirements is DEI. And that I want to dig into that. I really want to dig into that because there's a lot of, I would say, faux outrage behind that, and people just don't understand. That's why this whole thing is titled Trump Derangement Syndrome, Facts, No Feelings, because I think we've been operating so much in our feelings that everyone is completely ignoring the facts. So let's start on the executive order that Donald Trump wrote. Now, I did put out a video. It went, I guess, kind of viral, but I still saw other people trying to do the same thing, right? trying to break it down, trying to give explanations, but I saw people who were conveniently ignoring some of the most vital information in that executive order. So I'm going to try to walk through it the best I can, but I'm not going to go through the whole long-winded explanation, but I'm going to give you enough so that you should be armed with enough information, because I know, like, when you see all these types of things on the screen, it's like, oh my God, this is just too much. I don't understand. Like, so I'm going to try to save you from getting too deep in the weeds. Now, let me make sure that I have this thing properly, but hold on. Let me make sure I got this thing properly, because I want to be able to manage it. I want to be able to scroll through it and do all of those things. How can I scroll through it? Oh, let me close this out. All right, so you guys can see it. So this is the executive order that Donald Trump signed earlier this week, they called it, it's ending illegal discrimination and restoring merit-based opportunity. Now, the first thing that I saw that just went straight out into the public discourse was that Donald Trump was revoking civil rights. He was reversing the Civil Rights Act of 1965, even though there is no Civil Rights Act of 1965. It was 1964. People were saying that he's taking away equal opportunity from Black people. I saw, Black Democrats, up in arms, who were just going crazy over this, making it all about us again. And that's a dangerous practice that we continue to engage in. So I'm going to give you guys a breakdown so you can understand exactly what happened here with this executive order. Now, first of all, Donald Trump nor any other president has the authority to overturn or revoke a law. He cannot do that. Congress is who they create laws and they pass it, and the president signs it. So no president has the authority to just like reverse a law. That just cannot happen. So all of the civil rights protections that have been afforded to you under the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Equal Employment Opportunity Act 6572, all of those things remain in place. Donald Trump wrote executive orders like every other president does when they come into office. And if you notice, and I think this is one of the problems that we have in our government too, you'll have a president who writes executive orders. And then if the administration changes hands to the other party, the incoming president, what do? They write a whole bunch of executive orders reversing what the previous president wrote without actually looking at it and seeing what actually works for the American people and what doesn't work. We saw Joe Biden do that when he came in and he reversed Donald Trump's executive orders on immigration, where he basically opened the borders. Hold on one second. Jordan, you're a little loud. Take that in there because I'm live right now. So we saw that happen with Joe Biden. One of the executive orders that he didn't reverse this one. He just allowed it to expire and did not renew it, was the rapid DNA testing at the border, which we knew was something that was used to protect children from trafficking, from being trafficked, because it was used to identify the adults that they were coming across with to verify, to see if those were their parents or not. Could they be being used as mules? Could they be sex trafficked? But the Biden administration just was like, nah, poof, we're not interested in that anymore. Remain in Mexico. That's another one that he reversed, he rescinded. So this is what these presidents do. And it seems more petty than anything, as opposed to protecting the interests of the people. So anyway, Donald Trump, he signed this executive order. And if you look in the language of the executive order, let me go to that part. I think it's in section 2. Oh, good. This is the version that I highlighted. In section 2, you will see, I further order all agencies to enforce our longstanding civil rights laws and to combat illegal private sector DEI preferences, mandates, policies, programs, and activities. So right there, just alone, it's telling you that he's ordering that they continue to comply with the law. Do you understand? So Donald Trump, everything that he did was geared towards the executive orders, has nothing to do with the laws, nothing to do with the civil rights legislation. So I want to know that everyone understands that. This has absolutely nothing to do with changing laws or bringing back slavery, which I heard some people say. All right. Now, if you go further down in the language, you'll see terminating illegal immigration in the federal government. I'm sorry, terminating illegal discrimination in the federal government. The following executive orders are hereby revoked. Now, Executive Order 13672, it gives you the date, and the further amendments to Executive Order 11478. So 13672 is the additional amendments that were made to the Executive Order 11478. So what is that executive order? Damn, do I have a copy of it? Oh, you know what? I'm going to have to read it to you, okay? Order 478. Because, oh, wait, I can show it to you. Hold on. Yeah, I can show it to you. All right, so let me show you what that executive order is, all right? Video, oh, here we go. Here it is. All right, so here is that executive order. Let me condense it so you can see like the language of it. All right, Executive Order 11478 was signed by President Richard Nixon. That was in 1969. It established a policy of equal employment opportunity in the federal government. Now, what did it do? It required federal departments and agencies to establish and maintain equal employment opportunity programs. It required departments and agencies to provide resources to administer equal employment opportunity programs to ensure that recruitment, blah, blah, blah. What did it apply to? Military vets, blah, 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 blah. Look at this section. How was it amended? The order was amended to cover additional protected classes, including sexual orientation and gender identity. Okay, so I wanted you all to be able to identify that Donald Trump, in writing that order, he was actually, well, let me go back to what I was showing you in the first place. Okay, so that's the order that we're talking about. And here's the other order, Executive Order 11246, equal opportunity, right? So let's go to 11246. Here is 11246. Damn, it might be hard for you guys to read. Let me see. Are you going to be able to read this? I hope you guys can read it, but if not, let me try my best. I'm going to read it to you. This is subpart B, Contractors Agreement, Section 202. Now, this executive order was amended. And when was this amended? I'm not sure the year that it was amended. I don't see the date of the actual amendment, but let's see what it says. During the performance of the contracts, the contractor agrees as follows. These are the requirements that are placed on federal contractors. The contractor will not discriminate, of course, against any employee or applicant for employment because of race, color, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or national origin. Now, I don't think that anybody was talking about gender identity back in 1965. Do you? So I would argue to especially the Black community that this issue of Donald Trump revoking those orders temporarily, by the way, because it's only for 90 days. He revoked those orders temporarily for 90 days in order to reassess the executive orders that were passed subsequent to everything, those executive orders. The first one that was written like in 1965. So he wants to re-examine everything to make sure it's in compliance with the law for all Americans while it is in compliance with the actual Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Equal Employment Opportunity Act of 1965 and 72. All right. So now, why is this like a hot button issue? Now, we know that the whole civil rights movement, it had nothing to do with LGBTQ issues. It had nothing to do with trans issues or any of that stuff. And Black people, you know why that the civil rights movement was, who was it geared towards? Us. But since then, we have seen different policies introduced that were supposed to be geared towards providing equality and justice for Black people, like affirmative action, which we know benefited white women the most. And then you got DEI, which I would argue benefited white women, yes, but also more so LGBTQ, trans, those people the most. I've watched over the decades that as these liberation movements for Black people, they start to grow steam, you see more movements that are integrated into it, that they become fused into it, which actually dilute the actual protections that we're fighting for Black people, because now we're sharing it under the guise of minority, right? Or people of color or marginalized groups, but it's always a very general term. Now, I'm not trying to get into an oppression Olympics, but we cannot argue that Black people have been convinced that DEI is something that not only helps the community, but you believe that it is something that is exclusive to you. You have taken on the moniker of a DEI hire, a DEI proponent. And it's nothing could be further from the truth, because DEI is not for you. It's not. DEI is more so for LGBTQ and trans. That's what it is, because that's the only thing that I can identify that changed after the Civil Rights Act and the EEOC was the language that updated it to gender, sexual orientation, and gender identity. Now, why would people be upset with this, right? Like, hey, you shouldn't discriminate against people because of their sexual orientation. I agree. You should not. But answer me this. What does a person's private sexual practices in the privacy of their own home or wherever they are, what does that have to do with their qualifications for a job? What does what I do in my bedroom privately have to do with my qualification for a job or in education? And why are you asking me about that shit? Does that make sense? What other things have we seen ushered in under the guise of quote unquote gender identity? I'll tell you, bringing biological men into women's bathrooms and women's protected spaces like locker rooms, as well as our daughters. We saw federal policy, Title IX, which was protections for our children. We saw Title IX be updated under the Biden administration to do what? Include gender identity. So if you decide, hey, if you're a boy, you have a penis, and you decide, you know what, I'm a girl today, you're now allowed access to my daughter's locker room, her bathroom. You can compete with her in sports and demolish her. So I would argue that this is more so about protecting other women's spaces. I would also say that when it comes to DEI, here's the thing that a lot of Black folks seem to confuse. You keep thinking that when people talk about DEI, they're talking about you. It's the Democrat Party that's convincing you that they're talking about you. You know why? Because they want to trigger an emotional response from you in order to get you to fall in line once again with the Democrat Party and white liberals. That's literally what they're doing over and over again, because they can't actually deliver. They can't actually tell you what they've done for you. They're not delivering anything tangible for you. Every time you fight for something, they immediately insert alternate movement here. Even with George Floyd, when everything that happened with George Floyd and you saw Black Lives Matter kicking off, within a week, it turned into Black trans lives matter. Why are we acting like we don't see the setup? Why y'all Black folks always jumping, caping for everybody else's movements, even while they don't really ever stand up for you? And you're making DEI about you when it really ain't about you. I'll give you an example. The assassination attempt on Donald Trump's life on July 13th of 2024. We heard a lot of complaints about DEI hires, didn't we? Who were the DEI hires that people were complaining about on that day? Was it Black people? Was it a Black man, a Black woman? Who were the DEIs that everyone was pissed off about? It was 2 white women who were like, what, 5'3". I would argue that they had no business protecting Donald Trump, who's like 6'2", 6'3". What was their purpose there? As they fumbled around for their firearms and they looked terrified and they looked panicked, didn't know what the hell they were doing. You saw an uproar about those DEI hires because they were hired under the guise of diversity and equity and inclusion. We're also confused about what equity is. Equity is equal outcome. If I'm running a race and I'm running against 3 other people, I may be faster than them. This guy over there might be slower. But equity is determining that all of us are going to arrive at the finish line at the same time, or we will all be awarded a first place trophy. No matter what the outcome, no matter how much work I put into training before that race, it's going to guarantee a certain outcome. Now, am I saying that racism isn't real? No, there is racism. There's bias. There are systems that are in place, or I would say that are being utilized in order to prevent or stonewall Black people from certain opportunities. But I would also argue that most of those you will see in liberal spaces or Democrat-run cities and institutions that follow the dogma of ESG, DEI, which are all leftist-leaning policies. Go to any Democrat city, and you will see the disparities in the Black and Hispanic communities as compared to their white counterparts. Someone even in TikTok just says, stop the cap. Tell me what I'm lying about. See, and that's actually a good example. When you start to tell the truth, they say you're lying. They won't provide any evidence to dispel what you're saying. They're just going to brand you as a liar to get other people to say, oh, well, I'm not listening to that dude. Or if you're a Black man who says, yo, listen, hold on. Why are we so dependent on the Democrat Party for our politics? Chill out. Hold on a second. They're not doing nothing for us. Maybe we should leverage our vote. Oh, he's a Trumper. He's Black MAGA. He's a sellout. Uncle Tom, when you label people, it makes it so easy to just walk away from whatever they have to say under the guise of, you know, they're evil or nefarious in some manner. But the only thing you do is you rob yourself of what could otherwise be valuable information. Why do you think that they try to censor truth tellers so much? I mean, a liar is always going to want the truth to be silenced because they know the truth is going to dispel anything that they have to say. It's going to expose them. But I've never known a truth teller who would fight so fiercely to silence lies. I don't need a lie to be silenced if I'm telling the truth. I want that lie to be told so I can correct them and I can allow the truth that I speak to shed light on all of the falsities that they're trying to spread. Right? The truth doesn't need any assistance. So you should immediately question any person who is trying to silence opposition. Like a lot of these trolls that come into the comment section all over social media, or they report you on TikTok to try to get your lives taken down. These are people who need you to be silenced because otherwise they have no value to the conversation. They have no contribution. So they come in and they insult you to try to intimidate you, to silence you. But what happens when you come across somebody who doesn't give a shit what other people think about them? What happens when you come across somebody who says, "No, I'm standing 10 toes down on the truth. You can't intimidate me"? See, that's what we need to see from more people, whether you're on the left or the right, because there are a lot of folks on the political left who see the level of insanity that has become the Democrat Party. Y'all see it. Y'all know it. Y'all didn't want to vote for no damn Kamala. A lot of y'all voted for Kamala just because you were voting against Trump. And there's no reasoning with you people. Some, maybe. And I would argue that there are a lot, well, I know this is true. There are a lot of Democrats who just didn't want to be vocal about voting for Trump because they didn't want to be attacked. They didn't want to be ridiculed. They didn't want to be canceled. They didn't want to lose their jobs, which I find is freaking crazy. So they felt bullied into silence. And what did they do? They went into that. They told their family and their friends, "Hey, I'm voting for Kamala. Please, F Donald Trump." And they went in that voting booth and they filled in Donald Trump. That's why you saw the greatest swing in this election, in this general election. You saw the hugest swing to the right. New York City, New York State. New York saw the greatest shift to Republican this election. Guess who was number 2? New Jersey. Number 5, California. Everyone of every demographic, every state, every city, every locale in the United States shifted to the right. Why do you think that is? Well, Democrats will tell you because they're all racist and they're all misogynist. But is that who you are? Are you going to accept that brand? Because you decided, you know what? Our politics have gotten too crazy. I can't do this anymore. How many of you realize that you were manipulated even now, after just this first week of seeing Donald Trump in office, right? Him going up there, speaking, reminding you of the promises he made and following through on everything he said. How many of y'all feel like, damn, I was played? I mean, isn't that the truth? So hold on, let me reset. I want to reset my camera because I know it's about to shut down. And oh no, you know what? Hold on. Here's another thing about the rage baiting that I wanted y'all to see. Oh, thank you very much. Hold on. Damn, I almost forgot. Give me 1 second. I almost forgot, y'all. Let's go. So, the rage baiting. The new thing to be pissed off about is Target. Now, how many of y'all heard about the whole thing with Target where they announced that they're abandoning their DEI policies, in certain areas, that they're walking away from certain DEI policies. And now, Black Democrats specifically, they're up in arms. They're pissed off, right? They're like, oh, hell no. We got to do something about it. How dare Target abandon DEI, which, as I said, ain't for you. It ain't protecting you. So Al Sharpton puts together a group of people and they decide everyone decides, yeah, it's time to boycott Target. But here's my thing. It took for Target to say that we're going to get rid of DEI for you to boycott Target. Black folks, let me ask you this. How come y'all didn't boycott Target when they said that men could go into the bathroom in their stores with your daughters? Why you didn't boycott Target then? Why didn't you boycott Target when they set up displays with LGBTQ symbols all over it and trans stuff, marketing it to your babies? Why weren't you boycotting then? But you're going to boycott now because they said we're not going to be playing into those same things that are part of DEI. So basically, you're saying that you wanted all of that shit because that's literally what they are removing from their policies. Remember them don't think about it. Remember all those displays in the children's departments, the toddlers department that y'all was all pissed off about? That's literally what Target just said. We're going to stop doing that. But a lot of y'all are so fucking stupid that you decided you're going to go out there and protest because they took it away. Do you see the scam that they're playing on you? Yes or no? And I'm sorry to call some of y'all stupid because it pisses me off, but I think it's really stupid. And I'm going to argue, you got all of these freaking grifters, a lot of them in the so-called social justice arena, a lot of these influencers, these celebrity, these comedians and talk show hosts, all of these people who actually need you to be pissed off all the time, who are out here telling you this shit, that this is for your own good. I hope y'all realize what I just said to you. The same policies that are under DEI, Target just said, we're going to abandon that. And you just said, you know, F that, we're going to boycott Target. But let's go further. Because if you look here, this is Al Sharpton bringing more than 100 people, National Action Network members, to go and dump all their money into Costco to protest Target. Here's my question. Why aren't you getting all them black people to go dump their money into black businesses, bro? Why are you telling them to go rush to the next huge corporation that doesn't even have, like, I would argue, I can't remember the last time I saw a black, maybe more than 1 or 2 black employees in a Costco location, but why are you taking all of your money and handing it over to another multi-billion-dollar corporation that doesn't give a shit about you? But you're not, if you're so pro-black, why are you not telling them to go to the black neighborhood and put that money into black businesses that's selling the same products? Y'all don't see the hypocrisy? No? Let's look. That's a photo op, bro. Imagine how the owner, the CEO of Costco feels right now looking at this display. Imagine how they looking at you like, look at these damn idiots. Don't they realize that next week I'm going to be announcing abandoning DEI as well? Because we don't want to do this shit neither. How about this? Are y'all black folks going to go boycott Walmart? Because I know y'all ain't going to boycott Walmart. Walmart, they been abandoned DEI. What's up? Y'all talk a lot of shit. Y'all don't understand y'all don't understand revolution anymore. Like it's like we don't even understand what that shit is anymore. You know, I always hear a lot of black people talk about like, yo, you know, but they say, I ain't my ancestors. You damn sure right you ain't, because you're cowards. When is the last time you saw a legitimate, like a real legit boycott from our community in any, since the Montgomery bus boycott? Stop talking shit, bro. All of this is just marketing. This is just marketing for the professional managerial class who are here to manage you, to keep you in line, to keep you reaching for this oh so elusive dream and victory that they have no intention of helping you to achieve. This is what they do. They want to keep, listen, hope is an excellent commodity. They broker in it. But let me show y'all, black folks, who your boycott will affect. Let's hear it from her own mouth.
Right? I sell Donna's Recipe, my hair care products, right? Or on Amazon. They're also in Target. And of course, I have a huge partnership with Target. I sell my seasonings at Walmart.
I love her seasonings, by the way.
I do business all over, just like many other people. And what
That's Tabitha Brown, by the way, for my TikTok users. That's Tabitha Brown's voice, who you hearing.
What I can tell you is, if we all decide to boycott and be like, no, we're not spending no money at these organizations. Listen, I get it. And if that's how you feel, honey, I 1000% get it. But so many of us will be affected, and our sales will drop. Our business will be hurt. And if any of you know business, it doesn't just happen overnight where you can just go take all your stuff and pull it off the shelves.
So, in short, she's letting you guys know that when you boycott Target, you're going to be boycotting her and all of the other black businesses that Target licenses, that Target sells their products. Do you understand? Do you understand? Now, if you're a person who's like, yeah, listen, F Target, I don't want to support Target, just at least be consistent in your values. That's all I'm saying. But as it is right now, the same things that you were protesting against a couple of years ago are the same things that you're now protesting for in DEI. I want you to know exactly what you're fighting for, because clearly a lot of y'all just have no freaking idea. Now, let's see if there's anything else before I go, because I know I touched on a couple of subjects. Yeah, remember patty pies? When you got to understand, like, it's not as simple as a lot of these people, these grifters, try to make it. And we don't realize that the harm we continue to do to our own community when we continue to sign on to all of these efforts that I would argue are really not put in place for us. There's a reason why they always want black people to kind of stand in front of a lot of these social movements. It's because, to be honest with you, you're a sure thing. You're an easy lay. They continue to use the black community as a political football because you don't demand too much. You cry a lot. You make a lot of noise. You complain a lot. And so what do? They stand next to you and they complain right along with you. Oh, I can't believe these evil Republicans. Those racists. Meanwhile, they live right next door to you. They live in your neighborhood, and they're gentrifying you out of your own neighborhoods and replacing you with Black Lives Matter signs in their windows. They're telling you, black women, that black men are the problem in society and they're the patriarchy, while they're going home to their white husbands. They're telling you that DEI is to help you because you can't achieve it on your own based on your own merit. So they have to give you this leg up. Now, I know as a man, I personally I wouldn't take pride in knowing that I'm a DEI hire. Now, am I saying that we should not make sure that there is equality in opportunity? No, absolutely we should. But there are different ways of doing that outside of placing requirements on who you hire. And this is the difference between affirmative action. Now, I'm going to speak to the intentions now, because I see a lot of people saying that affirmative action and DEI were the same thing, right? Absolutely freaking not. And I'm going to break it down to you why. Because the intention of affirmative action was to discourage discrimination against people based upon their racial identity or any other immutable characteristics, right? Those would not be the standard for your consideration. It would be based purely upon merit. That is what affirmative action was. It was geared towards not discriminating against people or considering the other physical attributes of them or things that you would visibly see. We're not going to consider that. We're going to just totally treat you as an equal and give you the job. DEI, it actually prioritizes. DEI prioritizes your identity, your racial identity, your sexual preference, your gender. It prioritizes those things in the selection of you for a certain position, whether it be in employment or education. So the argument, what I'm trying to get you guys to see is that affirmative action, as originally articulated, was to discourage identity consideration, while DEI prioritizes it. So do you understand the difference and the reason why you see these arguments and you see the revocation of those executive orders in order to analyze and reassess them to make sure that they're in compliance with the law? So I hope you guys understood that. And listen, and at the same time, you're going to see, and I know Donald, I guess they put a halt on, I think it was like civil litigation on something like that until I understand why, because if there becomes a new standard of quote unquote DEI or equality or whatever after this assessment, then it will change the landscape of how a lot of these cases are carried out. It'll change the landscape of how certain policies are implemented. But I also understand that there are carryovers from the Biden administration who are going to be very invested in scoring political points against Donald Trump. So I fully expect to see a whole bunch of announcements. Oh, because of Donald Trump's DEI executive order, I had to erase black people from this, or I had to kick out black people. Because remember, you're the group that they use to push their politics while they provide those quote unquote opportunities to other people. Because let's be real, if DEI is setting a quota, it's setting a requirement to hire, I got to get this person from that one and that one from this one and that one. Then that means if I'm qualified here and I don't meet the quota of black men that's required for this position, I'm no longer in consideration. Why should I not be considered based on my merit? Why should I be pushed to the side in order to make room for a transgender woman? Stop acting like black people ain't hurt from DEI policies, bro. What if there was a black man? What if there were black men who wanted the detail to protect Donald Trump? Maybe 6'5", 280, muscular black men, intelligent, very well skilled in firearms training, tactical defense. What if those guys wanted to be on that detail to protect Donald Trump, but they was like, nah. We got to let these two women, we got to let them hold it down. I know Donald Trump is 6'2", 6'3", and I know these women are 5'3" and 5'4", and they really don't know how to handle a firearm, a service weapon right now. But, we got to be inclusive. Just like in California, where you had those firefighters saying, if I'm in a fire, I want to see someone who looks like me to come and save me from the fire. What? Bro, stop letting other people create these policies on your behalf under their interpretation of what justice and equality and equity is, because they're playing you. They're playing you. They're playing all of us. And at the end of the day, when you continue to fight for these policies, you are wasting time. And we are out of time. So while Donald Trump, he came into office, the man seems to be getting a lot of shit done based on what I just went through. Another thing he got done after pardoning the J6ers, I'm not even going to get into that conversation because a lot of y'all got too much TDS around that. The next thing he did was he pardoned Bevelyn Betty Williams, a black woman, a mother of 2 children and a toddler, who was arrested for praying outside of an abortion clinic, along with other, I think 22 or 23 other people, including elderly women, who were basically speaking up or fighting for life, the life of our children, the opportunity for unborn children to be born. Meanwhile, the judge decided specifically with Bevel and Betty Williams, I'm going to make an example out of you by giving the full maximum sentence because she was trying to protect Black life. And the judge said, how dare you? We want to make sure that Black women have the right to get rid of Black life. Bro, y'all better figure out what the hell you fighting for, man, because y'all out here looking crazy. And I will say to all of the Black gatekeeper class, the boule, the professional managerial class who continue to spiral out of control and grow more and more unhinged because you see your support leaving you and you can't read the room. Bro, let me just tell you this. The grift is over. Find something else to do. I have an idea. Maybe support your community in the policies and advocating to hold Donald Trump accountable for the things he's actually doing, not the things that the mainstream media and the Democrat Party are telling you that he's doing. Because I see that man achieving a hell of a lot of wins for the American people on immigration, on foreign policy, these wars. You got Zelensky and Putin saying this, and we want to come to the table. We want a ceasefire immediately. He's the only president I saw with the balls to even tell Netanyahu, nah, this shit gonna stop now. I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. He didn't just issue a threat to Hamas. He issued a threat to Netanyahu, bro. Donald Trump also suspended all foreign aid that's been going out. Yeah, he suspended the welfare check that the United States continues to send out to the world in order to prioritize American interests, to take that money and spend it inward in order to protect the interests of the American people, our infrastructure, our government, what is so bad about that? Bro, y'all better start thinking. Use your brain, because these people are manipulating you, and clearly, quite clearly, they think you are stupid. We have witnessed for years now the dumbing down of America. The pendulum is shifting. The Overton window is shifting. And I suggest you all get on board. Whether you like Donald Trump or not, get on board with the agendas that serve the American people's interests. And I would argue that one of those interests that Donald Trump is fighting very hard against is the censorship regime. He's fighting for your constitutional right to free speech. Kamala Harris literally ran on a campaign of censoring people, and y'all still voted for her. Do better, folks. Do better. Anyway, once again, I'm Tony Lindsay. Thank you for joining me on this episode of We Need to Talk with Tony Lindsay. And remember, folks, always ask questions. No matter who is providing you with that information, always question what you've been taught. You don't have to disagree with it, but you must question it. Because if you don't, you're nothing more than a mouthpiece for someone else's point of view. Peace. Have a good day.